Hey guys, Gary J here, and today I wanted to show you the Proline bow that was back in the 90s, early 90s especially, and this is one of my favorite bows back in the day, and these bows are still extremely accurate to be back in the 90s. I don't think these bows really ever die, and this is like 20 meters right here, which is pretty good. For an older bow, I've had to order me a new string for this one. They're about $70 for a handmade string for it from this fella. But just looking at the bow, you see that the riser here is camo. Got a really nice looking grip right here, wood. And this right here is camo on the limbs. And this right here is the cam, which is not an extreme cam like today's bows, but this is 65 to 80 pound pull with 60% let off, and so it's more than adequate for deer or anything else you want to shoot. Right here, point blank, and what the new wave says right there, and this is carbon. Also, I put a little bit of writing sometime on the bow limbs. If I'm going to store a bow, then I'll take some of the pressure off of it, and I just make a mark right here on the boat, on the limb, boat right here, and the limb, and like 2 turns to the right or left, whatever, and also, you know, where I need to turn it to get it back to where it was at before on the poundage. And I use a handheld bow scale to measure the poundage to get that right. And I was out here trying to zero in my new sight. I've got a sight like this one right here, a little bit smaller. This is the Proline kind of rectangle box type sight, and this is, back then they didn't have fiber optics. These are pins right here that are colored with a neon paint to give them a bright color. And this right here is like a fishing line right here, and it's tied up here. And you unscrew this right here just a little bit on the top and the bottom here, and you can move it to the right or left for your vertical shooting. And as far as your pins, you can unscrew them here on the side and move them up and down and tighten them back up. But it's fairly bright for you know, neon colors. Again, this is not fiber optic stuff. And back then everybody put like overdraws on them because they wanted more power. It's always been about speed, and now we got super speed in today's modern bows and so forth. And this right here is just for you to hold on to. And you've got a guard right here that's mounted on here, like you're using broadheads, and you pull back your arrow, and the broadhead goes back in here. Most of the time you want the broadhead sticking out here. This is kind of a safety shield back then, the way they used them. And your arrow rest right here is really sweet. This one's got a lot of micro tuning to it that you can do. You can see the calibrations right here are to calibrate it right and left, and it's kind of got open tongs which you can adjust those tongs right there to fit any kind of arrow. And that's a certain way you got to do that. And right here you've got elevation adjustment here, micro, where you can adjust it up and down, and just really neat. Stabilizer. And on these right here, since you've got your fletching has to go through the center right here on these right here, and it's easier just to take the knock and turn the, heat up the arrow. If you're using aluminum arrows, heat them up at the end with a cigarette lighter, and then turn the knock so that the cock arrow, the cock fletching will go straight through the center of this right here. And that works real well. And then you got a hooded peep sight here. And we put Teflon tape on this slide bar right here to make it slide easier. And you got this plastic right here too to slide on top of the Teflon tape. That tape is still slippery. So the overdraws were really nice, and you see the back end of the sight right here, screws in right here, camouflage. So this old bow right here still looks fine to me and looks good, and it's strong and it's well built, and you know, I suppose it'll last forever. And it still shoots extremely well. This is 20 meters right here, and generally if you can get a group at 20 meters like this right here, you're not going to have any problem at 30, 40, 50 yards at all, even 60 yards when you get a pretty tight group. So of course that depends a lot on the shooter too and the circumstances, but just wanted to show you. Some of you guys out there probably have a Proline bow, and just shoot me a line and tell me how you still like it. I mean, I look at bows today and I say, well, you know, these new bows, they look like children's bows because they're so short and small and lightweight compared to these big bows here, and yet they're more powerful and you know, than these bows right here, and they have so much let off on them, makes it so much easier to shoot. And so I mean, there's no comparison that way, I guess, but if you like the nostalgia of the old school stuff, then this is kind of what comes to mind, I think. And so I like the old stuff myself too, and I got nothing against the new type of bows today, and but I like the old school stuff, you know, when you're raised up around it, and that's what you have, and a lot of memories to it. Well, thanks for watching, guys. Gary J. Anyway, it just shows you, even at 20 meters, the Proline bow can be so accurate. And you see you got 3 arrows right here, side by side. And at least I got 20 meter sight in right here. These two almost split, and then one right underneath it here, which is less than a finger width underneath it. So you got 3 kind of dead center bullseye, which is good. Don't know what happened here. I always number my arrows like number 5, 4, 2. So I know which one is shooting right or something's wrong with it if it's not shooting good. So that's a good shooting right there. 3 arrows in the bullseye. The bittersweet of this one is this arrow right here missed the white by a finger. It'd be nice if it would have been in the white, especially in this case. But here we have a Robin Hood shot, and this is the Robin Hood shot. And we can get this in focus. This is the point of my other arrow. You see where it split. The aluminum off right here, went all the way down here, dead center shaft, and that's 8 inches right there. You can see where it hit I don't know what happened to the knock, where it went, but you see where it peeled up right here. And peel that up, and then this is my arrow that hit it right here, and that was number 3. Did all that damage to my number 1 arrow, and these are Eastern arrows, and now I got to replace this one, doing all that damage. But I can't remember wasn't going quite as deep, which I'm using like 65 pounds, so that's why the point went all the way down here, I guess about 8 inches down the length of this arrow. I mean, it split dead center shaft too. And I got a piece of metal that I found right here, and this is the metal to it, and it's just like you'd cut this with a machine or something. I mean, it looked perfect. And evidently the fletching here was on this piece of metal, I guess, because it came right off. And you see, this is where the fletching should be, right here, and that metal's gone. So that's pretty wicked. But yeah, it's sometimes you'll see people Robin Hood an arrow because they shoot 24 arrows into one target. I'm only shooting 5 arrows here, but it's luck and it's an accident when you do Robin Hood an arrow like this right here. Now, if all my shots were like this, you know, in the center, then you Robin Hood, you can say, well, that's, you know, that was intentional because you got them all together. Well, this one's out a little ways, so whatever I did with this shot, I did it the second time perfectly, 100% in order to hit it like this. So that's the way it goes. Thanks for watching. Gary J. Makes a long arrow, don't it?